Hey there, online students. It's Dr. Buer coming to you from my campus office. I was on campus today to meet a friend for lunch, so we walked over to Schlotsky's and enjoyed a sandwich together. It was a good day, and I hope that you're having a good day as well. Welcome to the sixth week of the semester. We're in the thick of things, a lot to cover, and so I hope that this weekly video is helpful to you. I wanted to give you a quick update on my daughter. She had a nice time at homecoming. Nobody asked her to dance. I was a little bit surprised at that because, of course, she's the prettiest girl there. But young men oftentimes are not as bold as they can be or should be in situations like that. So it's probably best because I have a shovel, a gun, and a back 40, and I'm not afraid to use any of them if need be to protect my baby girl. So at any rate, it was fun to watch her enjoy that, and she had a good time. So October is also marching band competition time, so we've got a lot going on. Just about every Saturday, our high school band, of which my older two are a part, are going to be going to various competitions in the area. So it's a lot of fun, and so we're looking forward to that time with our kids. But you didn't sign on in order to hear me wax eloquent about these things, so let's dive into our material for the week. In NT104, we are now moving towards the exegetical outline, and there's two main things that I'd like to impress upon you at this point. First and foremost, you've got to revise your structural layout in advance of working on your exegetical outline. I'm going to ask you to turn that in, that revised layout as part of your assignment this week. But the reason that's critical is because the exegetical outline builds directly upon the number of statements that you have in the layout. And so your layout needs to be in as good a shape as possible. The second thing that's important is the key to making a good exegetical outline is knowing how to create new statements that summarize the existing statements in the layout. Let me see if I can explain to you with an example. If you take a look at this Word document, I've made up 5 statements, presumably from a Greek text, and I've just ported them over one-to-one correspondence, 5 lines in my structural layout, now 5 lines in my English statements. Now, you'll notice that the logic of each of these is such that I could create some summary statements to pull it all together. For example, these first 2 statements could conceivably be joined underneath one summary statement that would run something like this. Now let me look at my keyboard. My microphone's in the way. God loves people of all genders. That's a summary statement that organizes the information of the lower 2 statements. And so these would then become indented points in my outline, probably point A and point B, and then the new statement that I made becomes Roman numeral 1. Same thing could be said of these 3 statements. You'll notice that the logic is such that they can be grouped together underneath a statement along these lines. God's, let me look a little bit at my keyboard. God's church is made of all nationalities. There we go. That's the logic of those 3 particular statements. And so they then become indented underneath that larger concept or idea. That's really the key thing about creating an exegetical outline. You're going to have to create new statements that summarize existing statements. That then organizes your outline into an inherent and coherent logic of the flow of the passage. It's not an easy task. It requires that you really think through what Paul is trying to argue, that you know the grammar, that you recognize the conjunctions, etc. But that really, in a nutshell, is the key thing you've got to work on with this exegetical outline. In Galatians 2:19-20, Paul is very clear about the source of our spiritual life. He says, I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. In the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. It's my prayer that this week you experience that power of Christ in you in a very tangible and full way. As usual, let me know if you have any questions or how I can help, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.